All right, so I'm going to be replacing a spoke on an i9 style wheel and hub. All right, so now we got the new spoke. These are the threads here. I'm going to thread directly back into our hub. So you want to make sure those threads are clean. I'm trying to determine whether there's some thread locker on here. It's either spoke prep or we can use a thread locker. And if you don't have any spoke prep, we'll use something very light, like the blue thread locker. Usually the blue is friendly. You can break it loose with the tool. Well, a hand tool is what we want. So I'm just going to put a drop, just a drop. This stuff's real pretty watery. I'm going to shave a little bit off. So I didn't cover the whole thing, but as I start to turn this in, that thread locker, the liquid will actually move around and go where it needs to go. So overdo it, this could get jammed in, even though we're using the very light strength of the thread locker. Overdo anything and it's going to give you trouble down the road. So we're going to come in here on the back side and looks like we got a cross pattern. We got 1, 2, 3, looks like a 3 cross pattern. All right, so here's where we have to pay attention here. So on our hub here, we have a place we're going to stick our spoke. So this is running on the outside. If we look at the next one, this is on the outside. And if we look over here, this guy is on the inside. So any spoke on the inside is running underneath. So it's going under this spoke, under the next spoke. So this one is on the outside. So this spoke is going over this spoke and then over the next spoke. So we have the outer, call these the flanges. We have the outer flanges to the right. Then we have the inner flanges to the left. So the ones on the left are going under, the ones on the right are going over. So the one that we need to go back into is on the right. So these are going to be going over. So we want to follow that pattern. So when we put that spoke in there, we'll be coming in just like this and installing there. So this spoke is on top of this spoke. This spoke is now on top of this one, and so on. So we want to make sure we follow that pattern. All right, so we're going to start the install. We've got the threaded portion going in first. So we're going on top of this one, going on top of the next one. That's the second one. And then we're going on top of the third spoke. So everything is on the outside. This is exposed, everything on the outside. So there's no intertwining. We're just going on top, on top, on top. 1, 2, 3, that would be considered a 3 lace. On top, 1, 2, and 3. I want to make sure we're going nice and straight. Now we got an aluminum hub, an aluminum spoke. I'm going to make sure that these threads do not get stripped, so we're being very gentle when we start to turn. They should be in a nice straight alignment, but we just want to give this a few turns, see if it catches. I'm going to give it a pull back. And it's not coming back, so that tells me that the threads got started nicely. I'm going to see how far I can go by finger. So these are spinning really nice, but once that thread locker dries, it should make it a little bit more tough, a little bit more resistance, which is what we want. We don't want these to vibrate loose. Once we find our tension, we want it to stay there. We don't want it to start to back off, which is would weaken the wheel. So looking at the rest of them, we have quite a few threads exposed on the top side, just like this one here. And if you lose track of your spokes or you got to walk away and come back to this, go ahead and put some tape on it just so you can find that spoke right away. So that's about finger tight for me right there. I do have a few more threads exposed than the rest of my spokes here. So maybe this one is just slightly longer, but I think we're still in the ballpark. And so there are 2 different size spoke lengths, most likely. So I had 2, and the first one I put in had a lot more threads exposed than what the rest of them look like as far as the outside right flanges. So make sure you do measure and get the appropriate length. If you're a little off, I'm sure in a pinch it would be okay, but sometimes it does affect tensioning, which could affect the whole wheel, just longevity down the road. So now I got that finger tight. So the other cool thing I'm going to point out about this spoke, so here we have, this is the end that's going through the rim. This is the flat, looks like a flat head, like on a nail. And then we go to the end here that's going into the hub. So the tip of it, you can actually put a 2mm hex or Allen tool on here if you need help turning it. So if this got really stiff, we're afraid of stripping out one of the bases here, then we can always go to our Allen tool for assistance here. So that's pretty cool. I like that.